Hey guys, what's up? It's Tony Tone, the Chess Salsero. Guys, today we're going to learn how the king, the actual king, moves. A lot of people don't understand how it moves or why, so we're going to break everything down, including the special move that only the king has called castling. So first of all, let me just tell you about the king. The queen is obviously the most powerful piece on the chessboard. It has a numeric value of 9 points. Very, very important, powerful piece, like all of them are. But the queen is the most powerful. However, the king is the most important. Why? It's priceless. It has no value. The value is priceless. Why? Because you play the game to get to the opponent's king, to checkmate them, and then that ends the game. So, because every other piece has so much power around that king, and everything is set up and designed to protect that king, the king is the only piece that literally has the least power. What do I mean? So if I put a king here, let's put his king here. The king can only move one square at a time in any direction. That's it. It can't glide across the board like the queen or the bishop or the rook. It has to just travel one square at a time. At no point, excuse me, can two kings ever be next to each other, either sideways, top or bottom, diagonally, nothing. Why? Because you cannot purposely put a king in check. What does that mean? For example, if it's white's move and I move the bishop right here, I am attacking the king. The king, if it's attacked, you have to, in a real game over the board, you have to, it's just etiquette to call out the word check. Not checkmate, check. Check simply means to your opponent, hey, look, your king is under attack. You have to do something about it. How do you get a king out from being attacked? You either block the attack. You can block it like this. He's no longer attacked now. You can block it and attack the attacker. The pawn is attacking the bishop. Or if the king has room, you can simply move the king out of the way so he's no longer under attack. So you either move it, block it, or re-attack the attacker. So it's very important we understand that. Once the king is in check, that means the king is under attack, and then over the board, you just for etiquette purposes, you just tell the opponent check. So if he checks you multiple times during the game, check. Why? Because he might not even notice it and make a different move. But you cannot, king cannot stay in check at all. It is illegal for a king to stay in check or under attack. Something has to be done about a king being attacked. That's why you have to alert your opponent, check. Hey, you're in check. Or just say the word check. Now, the king again, let's see, let's move these pieces. He moves one square at a time. Typically, you do not want the king to leave its post, to leave its starting position, or this area right here. You want it to stay on the back rank as long as possible. Why? Because there's nothing more important in the game of chess than the defense of your king. Because if your opponent gets your king, game over. That's it. So because of that, they gave the king a special move when in one move, the only time a king can do this is one time during an entire game, a king is allowed to castle. What is castling? Why castle? I'm going to show you right here. So I'm going to start a normal game and pretend we're playing a game. So I move, he moves. I move, he moves. I move, he moves. Excuse me. Now, I'm bringing the bishop out here. Why am I doing this? These are the requirements to execute the special unique move for a king called castling. Castling is when you take a king and move it 2 squares over, either to the right or to the left for either army, black or white. And here are the requirements. The 2 squares between the rook and the king has to be empty. The king, the requirement for the king to castle requires that the king has never moved in the entire game. When that king castles, whenever point, the beginning, middle, or the end game, that will be its very first move. And also, the rook cannot have moved as well. So there's nobody in between. The king is never moved. The rook is never moved. We can now castle. So how do you castle? You have to move the king first. Some people that I've seen over the board actually move the rook first. No, that's incorrect. You have to move the king 2 squares to the right. This is the only time in the entire game that a king can move more than 1 square. So you're going to go 1, 2, and then the rook hops right over it, right next to it. Not a square after or more, directly next to it. So they're sitting next to each other. This is called kingside castling. Why? Because before the start of the game, this knight and this bishop, since it's the closest to the king on this side of the board, belong to the king. So this is the king's bishop. This is the king's knight. This is the king's rook. So when you castle to the right and you're white, it's called short castling because it's a shorter distance. And it's called kingside castling as well. So you know the requirements. 1, 2. You move over to 1, 2. And then the second part of the move, the rook hops over the king. Boom. Right next to the king. Now, let's do this on the other side of the board. Let's say this is out, the queen is over here. Now look at this. This is a longer path between the rook and the king. This is called the queen side castling. Why? Because this bishop and this knight and this rook, since they're on the left side of the king, belong to the queen. So they're called, this is the queen's bishop, the queen's knight, the queen's rook. So same requirements. Nobody's in between the rook and the king. The king has never moved. The rook is never moved. And now it's only 2 squares. It's not 3 because it's longer. It's only 2. I'm going to show you this. It's 1, 2. 1, 2 squares only. 1, 2. And the rook hops right over it. Boom. Right next to its king. So that's called long castling because it's a longer path, or queenside castling. Either one. So you can castle to the right, kingside castling, short castling, castle to the left, queenside castling, or long castle. Now there's one other requirement that has to be met that I don't think a lot of people understand unless you're really into chess, is that yes, we met the requirement that this empty space between the rook and the king. Yes, the king has never moved. Yes, the rook has never moved. Now we can castle. Here's the only exception. Let's say we have a queen right here, or a bishop, anything, and it's going through one of the squares through which the king has to move to castle. If any square in between the rook and the king is attacked by a piece, even though it's empty, right here, this could even be a bishop, that king is not allowed to castle. So let's do it on the other side of the board. So watch this. Look at this. He's empty, never moved, rook never moved, but there's a bishop here cutting right through, attacking an empty square between the king and the rook. So now it is illegal for the king to castle through an attacked empty square. How do you prevent this? You can have, let's say this guy was here and he was here. I can block it. So now on my next move, I can actually castle. The problem is you're going to lose this piece because it's hanging. Hanging means it's a free piece. No one's defending it. But the point is you can now castle because you've blocked the square through which the bishop is attacking this empty square between the king and the rook. Very tricky. So a lot of people try to prevent you from castling because why do you castle? The reason you castle is because you are safeguarding your king, and there's nothing more important in the game of chess than king safety. Let's say he was here protecting him. That's fine, or protecting the knight. The point is, now look at this. Usually, it looks like this. Look at this fortress around your king. This is why you castle. The only time the king goes out into the middle of the board or into the field of battle is if it has no choice, or you need to help somebody else, or if you lost a lot of pieces, and it's usually during the end game. But look at the reason why you castle. The same applies here for black. You move over 2, boom. Look at this fortress. That is the reason you castle either way, queen side or king side. So I want to mention one more thing. On this side, if you're going to castle, queen side is very important. The rook could actually be attacked. Let's say there's a bishop here, right here. The rook could be under attack, but that's okay. You can still castle even though your rook is attacked. So you can go 1, 2, and then the rook escapes the attack, and you castle this way. I want you guys to understand that. You cannot, a king cannot castle if it is under attack or it's in check itself. Or if the squares between the rook and the king on either side, left or right, queen or king side, is being attacked. So if you have a, let's say here, this bishop is right here. He's attacking the king, right? Let's say he's here. He can't castle. If you're in check, you're under attack. At that very moment, you are not allowed to escape the attack by castling. That is an illegal move. You can block the attack like this. So now he's not under attack. You could block it here with the queen. You could block it with the knight. You could reattack and block it with the bishop. The point is, you cannot attack. You cannot castle if you're under attack, the actual king, or if the squares between the king and the rook on either side is being attacked. But you can castle if your rook is under attack. And now the last thing about castling, because I know it's tricky, it's very unique, a special move, kind of like the en passant move for the pawns. I want to mention this as well. Watch this. On the queen side only, if you have anything attacking, let's say, hold on. Okay, the rook is not under attack, but even if it was by the bishop, even if it was by the bishop, you could still castle. However, since this king only goes 1, 2 squares, it doesn't go to the third. Because if it went to the third, look, you're voluntarily putting yourself under attack, which is illegal. A king cannot put itself under attack ever. That's why 2 kings can never be side by side or next to each other, like I mentioned earlier. Now, here's the thing. Since this king never makes it to this long square because it's so far away, you can still castle in this situation. Because, look, even though this bishop is attacking an empty square between the rook and the king, this only applies to the queen side, guys, not the king, because it's a longer path. The king never reaches this square here. So it is okay to castle in this situation because, look, it never reaches the square. So I know this is tricky. You guys might want to go and study and rewind this video 100 times to understand this, but this is very, very important. I've had games in real life over the board with people who didn't understand this. They just were not, they were ignorant about it. They didn't fully understand it, and so we had to Google it, and I had to tell them, you know, this is actually how it is, because I'm a very serious chess player, and we don't want any cheating involved. If this actually happened in a tournament game, the tournament director would walk by, and if you made an illegal move, that's it. He would end the game right there, stop the clock, and that person would lose the game who made the illegal move. So, all right, guys, that basically is everything for the king. I want you to understand also, in later videos, I'm going to show you the importance of that king. There is a chess quote that says, there's a million quotes, but this chess quote is so true. The king is a fighting piece. Use it. I don't remember who said it, but it is the absolute truth. In most situations, 90%, 90+%, you want to safeguard that king. But once you start getting into the end game and the pieces start coming off the board and there's less and less pieces and more space, you really want to utilize that king to help even your other pieces try to checkmate the opponent's king. So, guys, that's basically it. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you can. It's brand new, and I hope you like the content. Tony Tone is out. Peace.